Hey there and welcome to Scandal Steep. Rick James, the iconic and flamboyant hitmaker known for his unique style and infectious funk music, had a complicated relationship with the legendary television show Soul Train. While many artists saw Soul Train as a golden opportunity to showcase their talents, James's experiences on the show were far from smooth. His clashes with the show's creator and host, Don Cornelius, ultimately led to his exclusion from future episodes, leaving fans to wonder what really happened behind the scenes. When Rick James first graced the Soul Train stage, audiences were electrified. His larger-than-life persona and signature blend of funk and rock made him a standout in the industry. However, from the very beginning, there was palpable tension between James and Cornelius. In their first televised interview, Cornelius appeared skeptical of James's eccentric fashion choices and bold personality, subtly criticizing his extravagant image. James, never one to back down, responded with his trademark wit, which entertained the audience but seemingly unsettled Cornelius. Initially, the banter between them seemed harmless, just two strong personalities exchanging playful jabs. But as time went on, their interactions became less friendly and more confrontational. James had a reputation for speaking his mind, and he didn't shy away from critiquing Soul Train itself. He openly stated that the show was stuck in the past and needed to evolve to stay relevant. These comments made their way back to Cornelius, who was reportedly unimpressed with James's blunt remarks. Soon after, James found himself quietly removed from future Soul Train episodes, a decision that many believe stemmed from his outspokenness and rebellious nature. At the height of his career in the late 1970s, Rick James revitalized Motown Records with a fresh, edgy sound that carried the label through a transitional period. But his rise to fame wasn't without obstacles. Before making it big, James had been signed to Motown years earlier but failed to gain traction. Born in Buffalo, New York, he initially joined the Naval Reserves but eventually went AWOL, fleeing to Toronto, Canada. There, he connected with future Buffalo Springfield members Neil Young and Bruce Palmer, as well as Goldie McJohn from Steppenwolf, forming a band called the Minor Birds. They landed a deal with Motown, but their music never saw the light of day. James's military desertion caught up with him, leading to his arrest and the disbanding of the Minor Birds. After serving his time, James relocated to Los Angeles, where he immersed himself in the rock scene, rubbing shoulders with legends like Jim Morrison and Joni Mitchell. His close brush with danger became evident when he was invited to Sharon Tate's house the night of the infamous Manson murders but declined due to feeling unwell. This chilling twist of fate only added to the mystique surrounding his life. Despite these setbacks, James eventually found his footing in the music industry. In 1978, he released his debut album, Come Get It. Featuring hits like You and I and Mary Jane. His fusion of funk and rock, dubbed punk funk, set him apart from his contemporaries. However, it was his 1981 album Street Songs that propelled him to superstardom, boasting tracks like Give It To Me Baby and his most famous song, Super Freak. The latter became a cultural phenomenon, later sampled by MC Hammer in You Can't Touch This. Initially resentful of the sample, James changed his tune when the royalty checks started rolling in. James's career, however, was as tumultuous as it was successful. His struggles with substance abuse escalated dramatically in the late 1980s. What began as recreational use of marijuana and cocaine spiraled into a full-blown crack addiction. His paranoia grew so severe that he covered his Beverly Hills mansion's windows with tin foil to prevent imagined spies from watching him. The addiction took a dark turn in 1991 when he and his then-girlfriend, Tanya Hijazi, were accused of holding a woman captive for 6 days, subjecting her to horrific abuse. James was arrested and faced life in prison, but he ultimately served just 2 years of a 5-year sentence. Even after his release, trouble continued to follow him. While out on bail, James was accused of another violent crime, attacking a music executive during a meeting while under the influence of drugs. He was convicted on multiple charges, including assault with a deadly weapon, and served additional time in prison. Despite these serious offenses, James never fully took accountability for his actions, often brushing them off with humor or excuses. James's personal life was equally chaotic. He married Tanya Hijazi, who was 17 years old at the time, less than half his age. His relationships were riddled with controversy, and his attitudes toward women have since been scrutinized. Director Sasha Jenkins, who helmed the documentary Bitchin' the Sound and Fury of Rick James, highlighted how the rock and roll culture of the time was inherently misogynistic, though he stops short of outright condemning James as an individual. Another long-standing rivalry in James's life was his feud with Prince. In the early 1980s, James accused Prince of stealing his style and stage presence. Their competition was fierce, with James going so far as to say that Prince had ripped off his entire act. However, while James's career declined, Prince ascended to legendary status, further fueling James's resentment. As James's music career waned, his reputation became more associated with his criminal record and drug use than with his contributions to funk. By the 1990s, he was struggling to remain relevant. However, his legacy received an unexpected boost when comedian Dave Chappelle parodied him in the now iconic Charlie Murphy's True Hollywood Stories sketches. James himself participated, delivering the famous line, "Cocaine is a hell of a drug," with a self-awareness that endeared him to a new generation. Tragically, James's health deteriorated due to years of substance abuse. He passed away in 2004 at the age of 56, with multiple drugs found in his system at the time of his death. His legacy remains complex. On one hand, he was a musical innovator who left an indelible mark on funk and R&B, inspiring countless artists. On the other, his personal demons and criminal actions cast a long shadow over his contributions to music. Even in death, James's legacy continues to spark conversation. His estate was sued in 2020 for alleged crimes dating back to the late 1970s, further complicating how history remembers him. His children, particularly his daughter Ty James, have worked to preserve his musical contributions while acknowledging the darker aspects of his life. Ultimately, Rick James was a man of contradictions, a musical genius plagued by his own excesses, a charismatic performer with a self-destructive streak, and a cultural icon whose story remains as compelling as his music.